I learned early on that the biggest culprit for, especially for young and not by age, but just by experience entrepreneurs, is ego. And I had that problem. And I had this idea that I had to make every decision, and the decision had to be my idea. Otherwise, I was a fraud in my own company, and all these stupid mindset issues.
Things you had to unlearn?
Things I had to unlearn. Absolutely. And then I came up with my own personal business philosophy of being the dumbest guy in the room all the time. And if I pride myself on being intelligent and learning as much as I can and pushing the envelope and being disruptive, but I surround myself with rock stars and enable them to have their DNA injected into what we're doing and bring their expertise and learn from them. So take Everbowls, right? I opened the first one. It cost me way too much money, took way too long. And I was like, this is great. And Everbowls meant to solve why we don't eat healthy, which I can get into after. But one of the key things was accessibility. You're not going to drive 30 minutes to an Everbowl, so I need to open them everywhere.
Well, you're not letting people inject their DNA into Everbowls, are you?
Of course I am. Of course. Not in that way, but yes, I am. and
See,
so
now David Meltzer's listening to this because obviously he's your buddy. He's going to listen to this, and David's rolling his eyes right now going, see, that's what's wrong with Brad. He can't just let a good thing be. He's got to ruin it with his freaking juvenile nonsense. Keep going.
No, yeah. So ultimately it was, well, we need to build these things cheaper and faster than anyone else has ever done it. And I don't know anything about restaurants.
But would you say that's, because to me, that's common sense. That's to me like, yep, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So people say, it's rocket science. How did he do it? Dude, you're using common sense a lot, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hey, if this is the case, we're going to need to do this. That's common sense.
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Okay, keep going.
So I started a construction company, and we named it WeBuild. And the whole purpose behind WeBuild was we build Everbowls. So let's figure out how we want to open 100 of these. We know the pieces. We know where we're going. So what do we need to do to build them cheaper and faster than ever before? And so we took a step back and said, and another thing is I think we always people tend to solve the problem that hits them first, whatever that first problem is. And I like to take a second and say, before we solve this problem and invest the effort and energy, is this the right problem to solve? Does solving this problem create another problem? Or is there other problem we can solve which would make this irrelevant?
Mm-hmm. There's another good point. Keep going.
So we looked at what IKEA did with the residential furniture space and said they can create residential furniture and make it to where I can create my own dining room set without needing any special tools and really quickly and inexpensively. So why don't we do something similar with Everbowl? So we did. So we palletize our stores. We fabricate and manufacture them off-site. And we can install them in under 2 weeks on-site now. And it allows us to scale faster and cheaper than anyone else. And as a result, we now have this own new company with its own legs, and we get asked to do construction jobs now for other restaurant chains and other retail stores because they see what we're doing, and it gives us the ability to really grow exponentially. And we solved a business problem of what makes restaurants innately risky is they're capital intensive, and you don't know if it's going to work. So you spend all this money up front hoping it's going to work, and they say 9 out of 10 restaurants fail, and you just blew all this cash. Well, what if it didn't cost you very much? So now we can test it. And now we can test new markets. We can grow exponentially. I can build the brand that way. And then by building lots of stores, so the other people say, well, Jeff, you're worrying about that. Why don't you worry about lowering your cost of goods? Why don't you worry about better efficiencies and hiring and training and all the things to make the restaurants run better? And that's where answering the right problem. That's a problem for sure. If I solve this problem,
I can solve that for you.
You can. But if we answer this problem, then we're going to naturally solve some of those problems, because by opening more units, I have better buying power, which lowers my cost of goods. By opening more units, I have opportunity to hire employees, and they have a path to grow inside the organization, so they're more inspired. By opening more units, I have more staff members, so I have coverage. By opening more units, it allows me to invest in technology like something that's over here. And it could allow me to utilize that on a bigger platform. And we have over 500 employees in under 3 years. So it's great because we're getting to also impact the economy. We're getting to impact and expand our relationship capital, and now have this team and this army of people who are brand ambassadors for what we're doing going out there. So I don't have to spend as much money on advertising because I'm opening stores in every community. So naturally, instead of a billboard, I'm opening a store. And all these little things start to play off. So the construction was one of those things. So I'm not a construction guy. I could barely literally use a hammer. I'm not that guy. So I brought in our chief operating officer, Eric Hansen. He's the mastermind behind WeBuild, and he really solved that problem for us. And I had to get out of his way and let him do it. And so that was definitely something that my younger version of myself would not have done. My ego wouldn't have allowed it. And I probably wouldn't have gotten to that point. And so losing and dropping the ego and recognizing and priding myself on trying to be the dumbest guy in the room has allowed me to surround myself with great people, and I think attract You talk about the universe, attract those people who have the relationships and the knowledge and the know-how. It's the joke about the plumber. Your pipes at home are all clogged up and you're trying and you use a plunger and you do all these things. You call the plumber, he comes and he knocks one little corner with his wrench and says, that'll be $100. And you're like, well, wait, all you did was knock one little spot. He goes, no, I knew where to knock. That's the difference. And so you're paying for the knowledge, not the performance. So the last thing I'll touch on that is too often I find people confuse activity with productivity, and those are two different things. And so a lot of people spin their wheels and I spend 20 hours a day working and I do all these things. That's great. You're being active, but are you being productive? You should be able to take the shortcut. You should find the quickest path. In this world, you pay for results. And when you realize that, you have an elevator to the top.